broadcast network, Afterbuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. Afterbuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
So we about to blow, we about to blow, 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 blow. Say we about to blow, we about to blow, we about to blow, we about to blow.
This is the AfterBuzz After Show for the Fox hit show Empire, Season 2, Episode 5, Be True. I am your host, Sofia Stanley, joined by my amazing co-hosts.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Kennelia.
Hey, guys, it's Emile Ennis Jr.
We have the absolute amazing pleasure to welcome a guest into the Lion's Den. He plays Michael, the on-again, off-again boyfriend of Jamal, played by the amazing actor Rafael De La Fuente.
It's my pleasure to be here, Sophia. Thank you.
So we are going to jump into this episode, and we're going to have a really good time, you guys.
Yes.
So let's start off. I love when the episode starts in the studio. So we start immediately with Jamal in the studio, and he is there with both his dad and Neo. And it seems as if his dad kind of feels like he's not really getting into it, and asked Neo's advice, and Neo thought it was good. How did you think that in the beginning scene played out?
Considering that Neo is an R&B singer, and I think on the show Lucious is a rapper, because sometimes, you know, he kind of sings and does the whole like T-Pain thing. I would be more willing to listen to a Neo. So I'm glad that Neo kind of stepped in and was like, you know, it was good, so that Lucious can kind of stand down just a little bit.
I would agree with that, just because Lucious, anything he says is going to have different intentions, just because that's his father. And with Neo's just focused on creating great music. So, and if you look at Jamal and Neo too, Neo's definitely more down the line what Jamal's career path would be anyway, as opposed to Lucious, who's been all over the place and who's very talented. But I would listen to Neo over my father.
Well, you guys remember Good Enough from the first season, the song?
Yeah.
Nothing's ever good enough for Lucious.
Yep.
And Lucious is never going to think that Jamal or Hakeem are, you know, good enough. So
No, that's an excellent...
I just listen to Neo.
No, that's an excellent segue, and I think that Neo then also gives great advice when, you know, Michael walks in, and Michael has a fan moment, as I think we all would, seeing...
Raphael had a fan moment.
Yes,
shooting
right?
a scene with Neo.
How was that?
Yeah. When I got the script and I read that I was actually, because I knew that he was coming on, but I didn't know what the storyline was going to be or whatever. And when I read the script and I saw that I had a scene with Neo, I was like, yes! I'm such a fan, but anyway.
And so then, you know, I thought that what I loved about that scene is that it felt so natural. We talked a lot season 1 about how this show was breaking barriers. And I think that what season 2 is showing is the ease of it. So seeing an artist like Neo just interacting with Michael and Michael interacting with him, and then all of a sudden, dun, 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 we always have Lucious saying, with his eyes and with his whole body language, his disdain when Jamal tells everyone that he's bringing Michael on tour with him.
Right. And if you notice, Lucious never acknowledges Michael. He never looks at him in the eye. He never acknowledges him. And that's something that Terrence and I have talked about, that, you know, Michael's always trying to make eye contact with Lucious, and Lucious he doesn't acknowledge him. But anyway, and how good was Neo? Like, I didn't know that he was that good of an actor. Like,
Agreed.
He slayed. Like, he really nailed it. I was like, yes.
Because you know what's funny about it? I agree with you 100% because it didn't feel like a cameo. And I know this is going to sound silly. Every other time we've had an artist on, my brain went, oh my God, that's so-and-so. My brain said that's Neo, but within the context of the show.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like, I was thinking like, oh my God, he's at Empire, not that he's on Empire, the show.
Exactly, because that particular character just makes sense, just like we were talking, or I was just saying how he is very much in the career path that Jamal is trying to go. for whatever reason, that makes it seem more authentic to the show, just because if you had Neo there or you had some other artist that was completely unrelated to something that Jamal would be doing, like if you had even like Eminem or Drake or anybody who's not like what Jamal's trying to do, then it wouldn't seem authentic. But Neo, one, because he is an artist like Jamal, but also because he is producing the music for this show now, I think it's a different investment that he has into it, so that allows him to be more involved in the character and really dive into it in a way that somebody just making a cameo couldn't do.
So maybe it's when the cameo is in the actual artist's element. So Timbaland, his cameo was fluid. Pitbull's cameo was fluid. Neo's cameo was fluid. People had a little problem about Chris Rock. Maybe if Chris Rock was on as a comedian, it would have been a little more fluid. So if the person is actually doing what they're good at and what they're naturally capable of doing, then it's a smooth transition.
Yeah.
That's what it seems.
He just didn't break the illusion. You know what I mean? Like you never saw an actor acting. You just saw a character existing in that world. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like, oh, there's Neo and like this is not real. It's a TV show. No, it was like, he's actually existing in this world and it's not breaking that illusion. Do you know what I mean?
No, completely. And I think they're really good at that, because in terms of making things feel real, because I was pleasantly surprised how they incorporated the artwork for Rolling Stones back into the storyline.
Right.
And not only did they bring back the actual artist, but they had people taking selfies with the art. I'm just going to go backwards and then I'm going to go forward. We all hate him. I think that's unanimous that we all hate the artist. But what did you think about what the artist said in terms of the fact that it's all about the art, that you really shouldn't be confined, especially when that's your first love, of even pretending that you could love anything else or anyone else? That's the first part. And then secondarily, whether or not the construct of minimizing or mitigating your lust because you're in a relationship, if that's healthy, but specifically for an artist, i.e. that an artist should just be free to experience and express however they see fit.
I think it sounded good if that's his life, or if that's what you believe, or if that's what you choose. What works for you doesn't work for everyone. So when people kind of say, artist, it's going to mess up your creativity and it's going to do this, this, and that. Everybody creates differently and everybody needs different things to pull from. They need different motivation. So I heard where he was coming from, but when he was saying it, I was like, well, that doesn't mean it applies to Jamal and it applies to Michael. That just doesn't seem like their life. So it can work, but he kind of planted a seed in a situation where that necessarily may have not been the case for them.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily agree with that, because as an actor, you have to play different roles, and if you're playing a murderer, it doesn't mean that you have to go and kill somebody, or if you're playing a drug addict, it doesn't mean that you have to go and like do 20 lines before going. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't. Like, you, as an artist, you do have to be open, and try to experience life and live and have different experiences, and so that you have, a bank of memories to pull from. But you can have a monogamous relationship and still go on tour and be hot and seductive. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't have to do with your relationship status. That has to do with your sex appeal and your commitment to your art. And so anyway, I think that maybe he did believe that, but he was trying to
He was hating.
His intentions were not pure.
I'm going to play devil's advocate for the sake of doing it. So we all recall when Serena Williams was on her way to breaking a Grand Slam record.
Oh, don't do it, Sophia.
I have to do it. And right before she was about to break the record, news broke that she was dating Drake, and she then subsequently lost. And many people said it was the Drake effect. It was that as an artist or as an athlete, as many people say, you have to go into it hungry. You have to go with that lust, with that angst, because there is a part of being in a relationship where then you're calm. Right? There's no longing because you actually have it. You're content, and therefore you don't make the kind of angst music that arguably Jamal has become famous for. Every time Jamal sings, it's about what he doesn't have, what he really wants, what he's reaching for, but not necessarily what he has now.
Yeah, it's like Pink. Pink always says that when, you know, she's useless when she's in love. She can only write good music when she's heartbroken. Look, I don't know. I mean, I think it's an open debate, I would say. I don't know. I think I'm capable to perform or, you know, act heartbroken when I'm in love and in love when I'm heartbroken. There's the what if factor when you're acting, and that is just putting yourself in a what if scenario, and how would you feel, and using your imagination. You know, you don't have to, and not everyone has to be a method actor. Not everyone has to like be going through what their character is going through. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's an open debate.
Well, that's good, because I think this is going to get everyone a little upset. So, were any of us surprised at what happened in the tunnel? I will raise my hand and say that I was, because I think I was mesmerized by the red tunnel. I was like, yo, Leviticus is really hot. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, the way that all of a sudden he like kind of spun around, I actually really thought he was going to spin around and like take out his camera and take a picture of him. So when he dropped to his knees, I was like, no, this didn't.
Well, that was one of those moments where I was like, I didn't think Bam was right, because remember Bam was saying that he thought the guy was. When he was painting him before he was making those comments, I didn't think he was hitting on him. I just thought he was, you know, an artist saying certain things that can be taken in a flirtatious manner, but not necessarily hitting on him. So when he dropped to his knees, I was a little pissed, and I'm glad that unlike some people. I'm so pissed. I am so pissed at your character. At your character, I am pissed.
I get a script, I read it, and then I perform
character, I am pissed. But with Jamal, I'm so happy that he. Well, actually, it's not even that hard to reject him. Not because I don't know the actor, but just aesthetically, that's not something that I would be interested in, even if it's a mouth. It's just not.
That's what he said. A mouth is a mouth.
Yeah, but still, you have to look at.
Well, he couldn't take him to the bathroom. Like, we're walking out.
Well, I think he had an agenda.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I don't think he wanted to take him to the bathroom. I think he wanted to cause havoc. You know, that was his intention. His intention was exactly what happened.
No, completely. And I think that his intention was, I think he's an adrenaline junkie, because everything that he was saying before is it's all about new experiences. It's all about risk. It's all about breaking the rules. So I think that's really why he did it in the tunnel. And this is going to sound funny. Obviously, it's not hard to find Jamal attractive. However, I think it also was a power move. This is going to sound backwards, but it was a weird dominance move. Because you just told me that you're completely in love with your boyfriend and that you believe in monogamy, that you're going to take him on tour. But if I basically right here in semi-public can get you to actually break that by dropping your pants and letting me, then you've lost all authority. Everything you say is now a lie.
Yeah, he has the power.
He has the power.
Well, that's very smart. That's a very smart observation, Miss Sophia.
Well, let's keep going. Can you tell that I'm dragging because I don't want to actually get to this part? Oh my goodness, because really I'm like, he did kind of act a little Dora-ish. But we'll go with Neo first before we wrap up with the final scene with Michael and Jamal at the party. So when Neo basically we're there in the studio again, and Jamal just isn't hitting that note. And not only is he not hitting the note, he's completely on his phone. I initially thought he was actually reading lyrics, like a lot of artists do. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh no, he's texting back and forth. Neo, being the consummate professional that he is, but more importantly, a producer, gets in the booth and has a conversation with Jamal. And Jamal tells him, he said that Michael couldn't go on tour. And Michael took that to mean they're now in an open relationship. Yeah. So they're basically going back and forth with one another. And Neo gives him amazing advice that if that's who you love and that's your serenity and that's what you need to be an artist, then you should take him on tour with you. And I also love the manner in which he not orchestrated, but was the composer and the maestro. What's this? The
conductor.
Thank you very much, Raphael. Thank you, the conductor. And he really kind of, not only from an artistic perspective, but from an emotional perspective, you could tell that with each note and with each inflection, he was really saying, believe it. If you're really singing to Michael your serenity, that you will never love again like you love now, you need us to believe it because we either have been there or you want us to feel lost because we have not.
What's that? Yeah. No, he was great in that scene.
See, I'm again stalling.
I'm trying to get there.
To the party. Go ahead. Then go. We can go right to the party, Emile.
So when he... Oh my God! I'm just so pissed. I was so because I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it. Jamal was having a great time. He's having a great time laughing
with
and
Becky.
having fun with Becky. I love their relationship on and off camera. And they were just laughing, having fun. He's like, "Oh, where's Michael?" First of all, Michael wasn't even hiding. If you have your body like halfway off of the wall so anybody can see you, that's not. They could have gone further over. I just had so many questions. One, I need to know, and this is something maybe you'll be able to answer. Were there any scenes specifically from the tunnel scene or from this scene that were cut?
Yeah. There was an argument scene. Where Michael is pissed because Jamal wants an open relationship, and they cut that out, and then the other half of the scene of the party scene, where Michael tells him, "But this is what you wanted. You want an open relationship." That's what all of that they cut out.
Okay, so Jamal wanted an open relationship.
Well, that's what Michael
one storyline
had understood. He thought that Jamal wanted an open relationship and blah blah, and he had a lot to drink and was messed up, and this guy, and then that's what happened.
I mean,
okay,
and he was also pissed because of what he saw in the tunnel. So he was like, "All right, you did this to me, I'm gonna do it to you." You know what I mean?
Okay, I totally get it, and I'll be honest. I think I'm spiteful in a completely different way, and this is why. There's no way that I would have let that artist think that he had that much control over my relationship.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you're going to let someone I'm trying not to curse, but blow you isn't a curse word, so I'm just going to say it.
No.
You know what I mean? Let someone else blow you. But the fact that you, allowed this artist to weasel his way into your relationship, try to basically get with your boyfriend not only said no, because this is, I think, extremely important. He said, "I'm not attracted to you." Mm-hmm. People always make that mistake. To me, you should never just say, "I'm in a relationship." Because what that says to the other person is, the minute your relationship's rocky or you're not in a relationship, I could get with you. Mm-hmm. To me, you always definitively say, "I don't want you. I'm not attracted to you." Then you rest on your morals. I'm in a relationship. I would never do that. That's what Jamal did. Fast forward, you're not going on tour. I get it. But to, in the house that you share with your boyfriend, do that with the person who literally, figuratively, and now definitively ruined your relationship.
Yeah.
Shady.
Yeah. Cold game.
Shady shit.
Oh, that's true, though.
The cold game. As soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, it's payback." And I assumed it was because Michael thought in the tunnel that it actually went down.
Yeah.
I was like,
Fair enough.
Well, he
thought
did.
it was like, so he's just paying them back. Eye for an eye. And especially all of the back and forth about going on tour, not going on tour, Lucious being in Jamal's ear, Lucious not being in Jamal's ear. To me, it was like, okay, Michael is really trying to show Jamal, okay, you're not the only one that can play this game, especially because he was dating the other dude with the faux hawk. Remember what was his name?
Ryan.
So I was like, Michael's
a minute after Michael left.
Exactly. I was like, to me, it was just completely payback.
I think Jamal. Okay, I'm the actor that plays Jamal. No, Michael. And my way of justifying it for the character was he came back into this relationship trying to prove that he's not going to be a needy.
Ooh, yes.
A needy B word. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't need to be in the relationship. He can just be with Jamal, but then also be in an open relationship if that's what Jamal wants, or he can just be in and out of it, and he doesn't really need it, even though he's in pain and he wants to be with him. And I think that the whole Leviticus thing confused him, and then the whole tour thing pissed him off too, because he wanted to go, and so all of these things added up, and he was at the party really drunk, and this guy did this, and he was like, "Well, you did to my boyfriend, so you know what, whatever." And that's why he didn't hide, because he's like, "Well, that's what you want? Is this how it's going to be? All right." And that's why he didn't hide. So, would Raphael do that? Probably not. But, Michael felt like that was
are we going? I mean, you
no.
can't.
If we could take these, he should just drop it.
Oh,
He
yeah.
dropped the mic on us.
Yeah, because I'm not as upset anymore.
Yeah,
so
me neither. Yeah.
hopefully the fans aren't either.
Well, hopefully, because everybody hates me now.
Well, it was such a cliffhanger too. Like there was no conclusion with
Yeah.
it. So
Well,
Are they together? Did they fight?
let's
Was
see.
there
Let's
a...
watch.
oh
Let's
my
watch.
god.
Yeah, so we'll save that for predictions. I need to write something down because I definitely have a prediction. So let's go into the threat to Lyon's dynasty. We are not reintroduced, but Tiana makes an appearance. She's having a photo shoot, and as she is leaving the photo shoot at Lyon's Dynasty's headquarters, two fans, come into the building. They're like, "Oh my God, it's Tiana! Can we take a picture?" Tiana so graciously was like, "Of course." They take a selfie, and very quickly things escalate and turn dangerous. One girl pulls out a razor blade
How
from her.
scary was that?
No,
That was so
actually-
scary.
That was so
Can I say
scary.
something? I actually stopped and thought, did they do like a warning before the show? Because I'm one of those weird people that I was like, oh my God, where's the button? I can't watch. So I was extremely scared because I'm a scaredy cat. But they robbed her. They mugged her.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And what made it even worse is very quickly after we realized she was mugged, a video goes viral that basically they are going to shake Lyon's Dynasty down, that whoever controls the neighborhood basically wants some form of payment, a toll, for them to exist and to work in their space.
Yeah.
Well, can I just point out, if you have a studio in the bad neighborhood and
You
have
mean in a place that used to is next to ghetto-ass studios?
Exactly. And you have artists who are artists. Every artist isn't from a bad neighborhood. Shouldn't they have security?
That's
or
what I
have
thought.
escorts,
That's
or-
what I thought. There should be more security around
Yeah.
Tiana. If Tiana's like Rihanna in this show.
Because even if they can't afford security yet, we
can
can
get a
do the
couple
buddy
of goons.
system or
Well,
something.
They can get a
also,
couple
too,
of
Tiana could
goons.
afford security because she's a superstar.
She is a superstar, and I think that's why they opened up this scene the way that they did. I think they wanted us to remember that she really was a superstar. You know what I mean? Like having all those people fawning over her.
Yeah.
yeah.
There definitely should have been security. There should be building security. Each individual artist should have security, but also too, where's her assistant? Like, how are you as an artist
Just
completely
alone
by yourself?
In the ghetto.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. No, but seriously, but even in Rodeo Drive, you need someone to carry your bag.
Of course.
Come on. You know what I mean? But I totally agree with
especially
you.
if you're at that level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we'll
But
see.
it's set up for a
Cookie's
good
gonna take care
scene.
of it.
It's set up for a good scene. So initially, when you saw the video, who did you think was behind it? Did you think that it was in-house, i.e., possibly Lucious, or did you think that there was a viable outside third-party threat to Lyon's Dynasty?
I thought it was a third party threat, and I still kind of think that it could possibly be in connection with Lucious as well. But just because it makes sense because of the neighborhood they're in, that if you find out that people, Lucious Lyon's ex-wife is there, Tiana's there, Hakeem is there, all these major people are in my neighborhood and they have money, of course I'm going to try to extort them and get something from them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Rappers get their chains stolen all the time. Like, why wouldn't they just walk through the front door because nobody is checking the door and go and rob somebody?
Yeah. How were they able to
probably
just
would
get
have
in
happened.
like that? Yeah.
No, it's because it's literally a low-rent building.
Yeah.
No, literally. You know what I mean? Like, there's no doorman, there's no buzzer, there's no nothing.
Well, but I think there's some type of, if you look, I think there's some type of security because they walked in when
the
her
door was
little-
shutting.
Oh, when that girl.
Yeah, when it was
Oh,
shutting.
yes, you're right.
The little photographer was leaving, but still,
Well,
Yeah.
the photographer should have stopped him or something. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
what happened. That's what happened. I'm sure that's what
But it allowed us to be introduced to Laz.
Oh yes. Yes.
So I actually did not realize before we came to the studio that you guys reminded me who Laz was. So Kennelia, can you remind me again when Laz was introduced prior?
I believe he was introduced. Remember when they were prepping for the Leviticus show and Cookie was at the actual club? Wasn't that when we were introduced to him? I feel like that was the only opportunity for him to arrive when there was club business actually.
That makes
going
sense.
on.
That makes sense. So we very quickly see that not only is he very well versed in terms of promoting, and he articulated who he's promoted for, but he already knew what had gone down at Lyon's Dynasty. And I think that other than possibly Lucious, he's the first person that spoke to Cookie on her level in a way where she actually kind of paused for a second and said, okay.
Yeah. Well, how ironic. Now she has her own Dora.
That's funny.
If you think about it.
That's
Can I get a
funny.
Dora?
By the way, Adam Rodriguez is such a legend.
Yes.
What a great... You guys, okay. All right. No, he is. He's such a good guy. I'm so happy he's in the show. Yes. So happy.
Yes.
And it's funny though, because even though I loved Cookie's love interest season 1, this feels more natural. You feel that same on-air, off-air chemistry.
Like son, like mother.
And they worked together before. They did. I can do bad all by myself. So maybe we're gonna get part 2.
Yes, because they're both packing.
Yeah.
So they're getting to know each other a little bit better a little bit later on in the episode, and they're really having a good time. They're kind of really talking, and all of a sudden that stupid little dog starts barking. They hear something break, and they go around the corner. They realize someone is in the office, and what does Cookie say? Cookie's like, "Get him!" when they come out. Laz goes and tackles one guy. Cookie gets the other guy. They both pull guns, and they basically have a moment where basically they handle business, and afterwards they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you were packing. Well, you're packing too." And they had a moment.
No, they're a good team already.
They are.
They're a great team. Like,
so were we, again, and I need to keep bringing this up, at that moment, did you think, again, this is Lucious, because obviously we keep hearing that Lucious wants all of Lyons Dynasty's music, or did we think that it was possibly the outside threat, i.e. the videotaper?
Man, I feel like it's hard not to think it's Lucious,
Yeah.
See, and it's funny, and this is why, and I'm going to fast forward and then come back. When Andre was having the conversation with Lucious and it basically said, "Oh, did you basically go and rob the studio?" And he said, "Thirsty does anything that I tell Thirsty to do," right? Yes, linearly, I literally actually can't argue with that. But when it actually happened, part of me was like, no, there has to be another threat, and this is why. Whenever you have two families fighting, literally you're opening things up for someone to go, okay, there's not peace. So to me, in order for the storyline to really progress, there has to be a third party. I haven't figured it out completely in my head, but the fact that they brought in Miss Whitemore, now they're bringing in a third party, and not just a third party. I understand that they're the Empire and Lyons Dynasty and Lucious Lyons, right? But again, I need to bring it back to the real world. Let's assume that this was Jay-Z. Do you think anyone's jumping Jay-Z?
No.
Do you think anyone's jumping Jay-Z's people?
No.
So regardless of whether you're in a bad neighborhood, do you really think that anyone would have the balls to go against Lucious Lyon, who has obviously a track record of actually, in fact, being gangster, just went to jail and got off in a way that makes you think, oh, you really are a gangster? Because for all charges to be dismissed, that means obviously in the streets must have been talking. And then all of a sudden Vernon, the snitch, ends up dead? That to me somehow feels like it has to be an outside threat, and it has to be someone that we are going to fear.
See, I didn't think that the people robbing inside of the studio were an outside threat. One, they didn't have guns. To me, that's a small time job. So if it were some street dudes or some people really outside trying to get it, they would have came in prepared. It wouldn't just been like, you take the bag. It was Thirsty. It would have been a little more hardcore. I do think the video and the Soraya, Tiana robbery, I think that was an outside, especially at the end, and we'll talk about it later with Hakeem being kidnapped. I don't think that has anything to do with Lucious. So maybe we'll figure it out sooner than later.
This is kind of a prediction, but not really. I think it's an outside threat, but an inside threat. I just don't trust Thirsty.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So I haven't quite figured it out yet. But even though Lucious or Thirsty is doing all of Lucious's bidding, I still say that somehow Thirsty is planning a motive around this whole thing, and he's the one that's weaseling his way between the two families.
That's a good point, because he's always now recently bringing up the whole dead body digging up thing.
So
he brought it up 3 times. Get over yourself, buddy.
And he was making himself very comfortable in Lucious's office. No, that's an excellent point. Well, we can't kind of move on, I guess, without talking about the interaction between Cookie and Lucious at the funeral home regarding Vernon's ashes. Because I think that any time that they have a scene together, it is funny, it is a little bit sexy, they're flirting with each other. It's just always so reminds you that no matter what, they are a family, even when they're fighting.
Yeah.
It was a good scene, yeah.
Yeah, great scene. I just love them together. They're amazing.
Okay, we're gonna go straight. Do we want to do Hakeem's kidnapping now or save it to the end?
So let's save it to the end.
Yeah, we can save it to the
Okay.
end.
All right, cool. Well, let's move on to the baptism. But before we do so, I just want to make sure that everyone knows that you need to go to iTunes. So whatever you're doing, stop right now. Go to iTunes, type in Afterbuzz TV Empire, and click 5 stars. You can rate, comment, and subscribe. And again, if you really, really like our show, 5 stars. And if you have a comment and you have any questions for Raphael, if you have any questions for us, leave them in the comments. We read them. We read every single comment. If you actually hear one of your comments on the air, it's because we read them. So again, you rate, comment, and subscribe, and always tell a friend.
And also, if you need just a little more shot of conversation, go to Happy Hour on iTunes. It's a podcast that we do. And this week's topics, what we talked about? We talked about Star Wars, boycott Star Wars.
Celebrate Star Wars.
Yeah, right. We talked about Hotline Bling. I can't know. Maybe one thing. We talked about a lot, so you need to tune in, download it. So good, we love it. We love doing it every week. So once again, Happy Hour, a shot of conversation on iTunes.
All right, let's go to the baptism. Andre has definitely been coming into his own and informs his family. Or actually, let me back up a bit. It's his actual first day back at work. He basically got back in. He said that if he takes care of the Vernon situation, his dad said that you can come back to the office. His first day, he comes in, he breathes that office fresh air. He feels like he is at home, and then very quickly the scene switches, and there is basically a low rent, high rent stripper party going on in the office.
Of course.
And his dad is literally going to baptize him with some new stripper, you know what.
Of course, Lucious wants to sabotage the whole baptism thing because he doesn't want him to believe in anything more than he believes in Lucious. Like, he doesn't want God to be above Lucious, above himself.
That makes sense because Lucious refers to himself as a god all the time.
He thinks he's God. Like, he's the most egotistical, crazy.
You know, the funny thing is about that, though, and like, I don't know scripture, so I don't know if this is actually in the scripture, but it's like, I feel like God wouldn't have to tell you every single second that he's God.
Yeah.
Like, he's God because he does godly things, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of usually when you're not God that you have to keep reminding everyone that you are.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So I think that even though I think that he's saying it and it's making him powerful and supreme above everyone else, to me, what it's really feeding is his insecurity that he actually is not.
He's a human being with flaws.
Completely.
Yep.
So they're having the party, and we can obviously see that Andre is struggling with it. And Andre then goes to see his pastor, and his pastor basically tells him that in order to be baptized in the church, he not only has to ask his family to come, but he needs to confess to them, come clean, and in essence ask for their forgiveness for any wrongs that he has done onto them.
Did you guys have to do that to get baptized? 'Cause I didn't have to do that.
I didn't either.
I don't remember
I got
that.
baptized when I was a little baby.
I was saying that I was the same thing. I was like, y'all remember?
Well, I got baptized when I was a baby, but then I got baptized again like 2 years ago. But I didn't have to like confess anything to anybody.
Well, my stomach dropped when he told him to do that because I was like, "Oh, here we go."
Right, I was just like, "Never mind, cancel the baptism."
Right, tell all the business. Go to another church home. They'll baptize you there. You can just do it somewhere else. It's fine. You don't have to do it here. It transfers, but like, you'll be fine. And a lot of stuff that Andre was confessing to his brothers, I actually forgot about. I was like, oh shoot, he really did that. And as he kept telling everybody what he did and that he was sorry for it, I was like, oh, he is kind of a dirtbag. Dang, you need this. Like, keep cleansing. But before, before it was like, oh, poor Andre.
Yeah.
But now I was like, okay, good.
He's done a lot of stuff.
I was proud though that he actually had the balls to tell everybody and just own up to it.
Don't you love that scene with Cookie when she's with the lint roller and she's like, no.
It was an honest scene, though.
Yeah.
Everybody does wrong. I don't want to hear about what you've done wrong. You're a good person. And it was good. It was in her own way. It wasn't like a scene where Cookie was this mom and she was like, I loved you since you came out of the womb. It was honestly Cookie. She walked up and was like, you look good. I'm happy for you.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, it was very honest.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to sound corny, so bear with me for a second. There's another way that I took that. And obviously it would only, and I'm not a Catholic, so I apologize if I get any of this wrong, but it reminded me of Catholicism in terms of confession. and not just confession, but the sanctity of the confessional. Meaning that when you confess to a priest, it is similar to having a communication with your attorney. So the privilege exists.
Or with your doctor.
Or with your doctor. So really, the reason that privilege exists is that you can be 100% honest to really let go of that burden and for God to forgive you, right? Yeah. But again, let's be very clear. It's privileged communication. So I think that Cookie was saying two things. Legally and religiously, you only have to have a conversation with God.
Yeah.
You actually don't need to have a conversation with us. And then legally, she was basically like, no, boy, because you talking to us or talking to whomever, that's not protected. You know what I mean? Yeah. And there was a part of me that keeps thinking, I want to root for Andre, but I can't. Because part of me is like, so if you hadn't had that conversation with your mama, could you have actually confessed something that you could go to jail for?
Maybe.
Do you know what I mean? And I think there's a certain level of his emotional maturity that upsets me. And ironically, I don't think it's because he's bipolar. I know that they keep kind of bringing up that storyline. I really think that it's because he sometimes doesn't really think things all the way through. And that's why he ends up in the predicament that he's in.
No, we were talking about this when we were just rewatching. I was just getting upset that he didn't have sex with his wife.
Yeah, that really bothered me as well.
See, and that actually, that bothered me. But
because he's bipolar. Didn't you see how the scene ended? He was completely
Oh, he's giddy.
maniac. Yeah.
I never caught that.
He was like calm and collected, and then he sat her down, and then he was completely maniac. Like,
yeah, he was like, "You're gonna have a baby." Woo!
Like all crazy. Yeah.
That was a great catch. I didn't see it until you said that.
It like flipped. Yeah.
And see, again, I thought it brought it back to the whole religious thing. It's like the whore and the virgin. What? Like for some people, like there's certain things they don't do with their wife. Right? And for some people, the wife solidifies when there's a child involved, right? So if you think about it, before she was pregnant, they kind of interacted like girlfriend and boyfriend. They were swingers. They kind of had an open marriage, an open relationship. Something about that child coming creates an actual family unit or a sanctity, and basically that's why he's not having sex with her, because that's why he brought up the baby. Because in his mind, it would be weird to have sex with you because now you're the vessel that is holding my child, not simply just a woman.
And I don't think that would have mattered to him before he joined the church.
Exactly.
So it's also that.
He better have sex with his wife.
Mm-hmm. He better.
She's dealing with
she's hot.
Yeah, she's dealing with that. She's pregnant.
But did you see the way that she paused and looked to the right? I had a split-second moment where I thought, wait, is she pregnant?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Because at first I was like, oh no, she's just mad because she's not getting any, which is understandable. But then I really was like, no, she's not pregnant.
No, yeah.
But then we've kind of been saying that on and off since she said she was pregnant. There has always been a thing like, is she really pregnant? Was the ultrasound real? But is she?
And is that basically why they basically put in the seed that they're not having sex? Because think about it, you can lie about a pregnancy if you then continue to have sex because the timing will just be off when the 9 months is, right? But if you actually then can't have sex after you lied, what is she gonna do?
Yep, that was happening to Sharon on Young and the Restless.
It sure did.
Okay, let's go directly to the church, and everyone shows up except for Lucious. We have one of the first interactions in church with Jamal and Hakeem and Cookie, and they're doing that normal little banter, and finally basically they all soften each other up, and Cookie is laughing and smiling, Jamal is laughing and smiling. They basically are a common enemy, which is Lucious. Despite the fact that Jamal and Lucious are now working together, I think he's always aware of the fact that his dad can turn at any moment. And then we have, to me, which was one of my favorite scenes, we have the devil himself decides to come to church. And I felt that the entire way that this scene opened up, it felt very like Pacino-esque, right? Like, didn't he kind of have that kind of bravado? Yeah. The way that the limo came up and the door opened and the way he looked up at the sky or God and that snicker. I was like, do you know what I mean? Because he basically was like, testing him. He kind of had a little moment like, what you gonna do?
Even the way he approached Andre and the pastor when he got inside.
But also, what did he say? Do you remember specifically what he said?
He said, Andre said, I love you. And he was like, I know.
I know you do.
But even before that, he goes to the pastor, I am Andre Lyon's dad. Or no, father. He said, "I am his father," meaning not God.
Not God.
So he needed to make sure in the house of God to the pastor, he was making it very clear the hierarchy.
Yeah.
We know. Like, he should have said, "We know." That Lucious, to have so much power on the outside and to portray this idea that he feels this way about himself, he really does a lot of insecure stuff. Dude, you can walk into the church and you can storm up to the pastor and say, "I'm his father." You can look up to God and snicker, but only someone who really feels like SHIT or isn't secure with who they really are will feel the need to even do this. You don't have to flex your power, Lucious, because even when he walked down the aisle, people in the back were like, "Oh shoot, there's Lucious Lyon." You're gonna get the attention. But to feel like he has to do this to kind of justify or fulfill some need, it's a little too insecure for me for who he's supposed to be.
I completely agree with you, but did we view Lucious different and possibly understand why he is either upset with God or doesn't believe in God when during the baptism we saw flashbacks to his childhood?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was hard to watch.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a reason why he is who he is. Villains are never just evil. You know what I mean? There's a reason why they are the way they are, and I mean that's why he has that relationship with Andre, because his mom was bipolar, and he hurts every time he sees Andre because he knows. He knows what Andre's life is gonna be like, and he suffered a lot. I mean, I can't imagine what it would be to grow up with that
untreated at a time probably where we didn't even know what it was.
Exactly.
Yeah, and how scary, almost drowning him into the nah. So
and singing.
Of course,
what was
he's traumatized.
What was she singing?
Oh, she was singing a Christian song.
Some
it sounded
Christian
like,
song, yeah.
I mean, it's funny you guys brought that up because I literally, it's been a long day. I didn't even connect that his relationship with God is so strained because of his experience as a child. And it even goes back, everybody has their own relationship or lack of relationship with God for their personal reasons. So even earlier in the episode when Jamal was talking about his relationship with God or lack thereof because he doesn't believe that God accepts gays, and then Becky made her joke about that. And we all have our personal experiences. We don't have to go into it now, but it's just, you can't judge anybody because they don't necessarily believe the same thing that you do. But I feel like because of the context of the show, because of his character, a lot of times you're like, oh, blah, blah, he's a devil. But then that scene really was like a clarifying moment where you're like, oh, shit.
Well, if you think about it, it's understandable that he would
they're going to make you lean in.
That he would be angry at God because his mom was a Christian and would, be preaching all the time and singing Christian songs, and yet she had this mental disorder and God didn't save her or cure her. So he would be angry with God. It's understandable, and he would have that aversion with, Andre because of the bipolar disorder. It just makes sense. All this backstory that we're getting justifies the behavior of our lead characters.
Completely. And what's the saying? The sins of the father will play out on the son.
I didn't know that saying.
Okay. And that's what happens.
Yeah.
We literally close the episode with Hakeem running again by himself. And he is not only jumped, but he's jumped, masked, put into a van, and we have absolutely no idea where he's going.
We shall see. Again, no security.
No
but
security at all.
Yeah, Hakeem Lyon running in the middle of Central Park it's whatever.
Why couldn't he get in the car with the girl and say, take her home and then take me where I need to go?
Well, Hakeem. Well,
I think it was just working out.
Yeah. Well, at the end he was
skipped a
working
scene, yeah.
out, but Hakeem has a very youthful, naive thing going on with himself. He was like, oh, I'll just catch a cab, and he's out just running by himself. And it's kind of endearing because to him, it seems like he's still a regular dude living his life. I can get girls. I can sleep with my artist if I want to. I can jog alone. I can just be me and be free. But maybe this, after we find out who took him, maybe this will push Hakeem to be more of the mogul that he wants to be, where he actually knows you can't be this guy anymore. You can't be this little girl. We saw Laura, his artist, turn him down because he was trying to do the same old thing with her. So maybe all of this is going to check Hakeem to make him actually grow up and learn these lessons on his own, instead of having Lucious teach him or Cookie teach him or anybody else teach Hakeem these lessons.
No,
sad.
that's an excellent point. Well, let's move on to our favorite part of the show, which is Kennelia's cold piece.
Cold piece of the week for Empire episode 5 of season 2, 3 parts. 1 goes to Kelly Rowland for playing the hell out of that role. I don't know if you heard her singing while she was trying to drown poor little young Lucious, but she was hitting those notes. I just want to point that out because she was actually jamming while she was potentially committing a crime. Second part goes to the creepy photographer guy for trying to give everybody at Empire the sloppy toppy. Like, come on, dude. Like, he was just giving out the sloppy toppy. Like, you want sloppy toppy? You want sloppy toppy? You want the sloppy toppy? He gets second part of the cold piece of the week. And third part goes to our amazing guest, Mr. Raphael, for joining us in the studio today. We've enjoyed your character on this show, season 1 and season 2. Hopefully we'll get to see you some more in the coming episodes, but we'll be tuned in, locked in, and seeing what's in store for Michael. So let us know who you think should be cold piece of the week. Hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook using hashtag cold piece.
Perfect. Make sure, again, use the hashtag cold piece. So now on to predictions.
Now, your Afterbuzz TV predictions.
So what are we thinking, you guys? What kind of predictions do we have?
I still want to talk about my prediction from earlier. I really do not trust Thirsty at all. And I think that he is connected to what Lucious is telling him, obviously, but doing more to secure his place in Empire, and I just don't trust him. I hope that Michael and Jamal can reconcile and it's not over, because I can see now that you have explained some of the missing scenes that there could be some confusion there with the open relationship. I hope. That's just a hope. And then with Lyon's Dynasty, I think that we're going to see some passion between Laz and Cookie, and I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
That heat.
Co-sign, I'm ready for that heat. I think in regards to relationships, I think Laura and Hakeem are going to form a nice little love affair or love thing going on, because after he said his speech to her and he got out of the car and let her get in, she kind of looked at him in a different way. And I think Hakeem is now willing to take someone in his life seriously, and she would be the perfect person, somebody to kind of even him out. I think Michael and Jamal will try to give it one more try, not officially, but they'll try to reconcile or at least discuss what happened. But I think they'll eventually break away. I think the sloppy toppy was too good, and they have to step away.
Right? Was it good though? Like, was it really that good? It had to be because his face.
It was in public. So those are my predictions.
Oh my God, Raphael, do you have any predictions for us? And only that you can tell us, because we need you back.
Yes.
So.
Do I have predictions? Oh my God. Well,
or desires.
That's good desires. Yeah.
I'm just really okay. I'll just say what I want to see. I want to see the girl group. Like, I'm really excited to see the girl group, and I think that Laura and Hakeem could be an item. And I think that just because she seems to be, as a good Latina, she seems to be, not about the BS. She could make him, grow up a bit. I don't know, man. It's just so much. I'd have to sit down and really think. I'm excited. I'm also excited to see Cookie and Laz. And let's see what happens with Michael.
Okay, definitely. Well, we will all be keeping our fingers crossed. Again, my prediction is really just there's a third party that we should really, really be afraid of. So tell everyone where they can reach you, Raphael. Tell them where they can reach you so that they can talk to you and ask you more questions, and just tell you how absolutely amazingly talented and handsome and intelligent you are.
Thank you so much. Well, my Instagram and Twitter, they're both the same. It's Raphael, Rafael DLF. So Rafael DLF, Raphael DLF.
And he has shirtless pics, so. Get to it.
I put some shirtless just recently, so go check them out, and I like them.
You can find me at Emile Ennis Jr. and on YouTube Chasing LA, and all of us on our podcast Happy Hour on iTunes, A Shot of Conversation.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Kennelia.
And you can find me, Twitter and Facebook, at Sofia Stanley and at the Sofia Stanley on Instagram. Bye, guys. We will be here same time, same place at the Afterbuzz Lion's Den. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Afterbuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the Afterbuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of Afterbuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.